I might need to move to Atlantis.
The real reasons why Eden Hazard flopped at Real Madrid, a short form podcast. For cheap good quality football jerseys, go over to www.jerseyfifa.com, a link will be left in the description, and use code atlantisfootball for 5% off. Before I get into the analysis, let me tell you about the OneFootball app, because this is the app I use to keep you up to date with the latest circulating transfer rumours, and I find the match section on the app incredibly useful as well for looking at matches, clubs and players that I'm not able to watch on a regular basis. If you like this channel, you'll definitely love this app, so when you go to subscribe to the channel, if you enjoy the content, which would be very much appreciated, make sure you click the link in the description to get the OneFootball app as well. So Eden Hazard is closing in on his second full season at Real Madrid, and I think it's fair to say that Hazard has not just been a transfer flop, but one of the biggest transfer flops in history. In 2009, 10 years before Hazard moved to the Bernabeu, Kaká was signed by Real Madrid for a then world record fee of £57 million. Despite the hype, Kaká never reached the heights that other signings made that summer reached, like Ronaldo, Xabi Alonso and Karim Benzema, and in the end went down as one of the biggest flops in transfer history. Hazard cost Real Madrid at least £100 million when he signed from Chelsea in 2019, in a deal that could but probably won't rise to as much as £140 million. At the time it seemed like a good deal, or at least according to the mainstream media. When Hazard was signed, he was 28 years old, and coming off a fantastic season for Chelsea where he had the joint highest goal scoring season of his career in the Premier League with 16 goals, was nominated for the PFA Player of the Season, and helped Chelsea win the Europa League as well. It seemed like the perfect time for Hazard to make a move to Real Madrid, well on the surface at least. Despite Hazard without doubt being one of the best players in the world at the time, there were some doubts that I had and many others had as well, that in hindsight seem obvious reasons why Hazard has failed at Real Madrid. First of all, the transfer fee seemed very strange. Not that Hazard wasn't worth £100 million based on his ability at the time, but the fact that he had just 1 year left on his contract at Chelsea, which would have meant that Real Madrid could have got Hazard for no transfer fee at all if they had just waited a season. But even without the contract situation, Real massively overpaid for Hazard. Whilst on his day Hazard can look majestic and world class, his consistency has been a major issue throughout his career, and has been what has stopped him progressing into that truly elite bracket. He seems to go through periods of excellence before completely fading away. An example of this was in 2014-15 when he was a PFA Player of the Season as Mourinho's Chelsea stormed to the Premier League title. However, the next season it seemed like Hazard was devoid of the work ethic and ability that was needed, and he became a shadow of his former self. When Conte came in the season after, in 2016-2017, Hazard was once again excellent, a catalyst in Chelsea's title win alongside N'Golo Kante and Diego Costa. However, the season after, he once again failed to meet the standards that he had showcased before, and it was evident that Hazard's mentality and work ethic was beginning to hamper his career. In 2018-19 under Maurizio Sarri, Hazard was one of the best players of the season, and it seemed like now was his chance to push on and become a Ballon d'Or contender. But to me, it's when Hazard becomes comfortable that his standards slip, and that's exactly what happened at Madrid. Real Madrid effectively paid £100 million to have Hazard for the 2019-2020 season, but he played just over 1,000 minutes in La Liga and didn't produce the same output in terms of chance creation and goal scoring that he had done in previous years. Even though he did have injury problems throughout 2019 and 2020, it seemed like his motivation was a concerning factor. There were reports that he turned up overweight to pre-season training, an accusation that has been thrown at Hazard before. Even going into this season, there was the expectation that Hazard would recover his form and get back to his Chelsea best. However, this season has been even worse, seeing him play just 491 minutes in La Liga, and when he has played, he's not even looked like a £30 million player, let alone a player who cost £100 million and is expected to be competing at the highest level. Sid Lowe back in January said that he couldn't remember a game where Hazard had had a really good performance for Real Madrid, and I'd have to agree, even a few months on from that. Whilst on paper he does offer Zidane something different in attack in terms of his dribbling and creative ability, we rarely ever see this, as Hazard is either unfit to play, and when he does play he never seems match fit, not having the sharpness and turn of pace that made him so effective at Chelsea. As I said before, Hazard's downfall is down to his own work rate off the pitch. With players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and even Jamie Vardy and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you see a definitive work rate in terms of how they train and the shape their bodies maintain. However, with Hazard he seems to be falling into the same trap that Wayne Rooney fell into as he approached 30, gaining weight, looking sluggish, and therefore losing the effectiveness and output on the ball. This is something Real Madrid should have seen, as it was no secret that Hazard was a poor trainer at Chelsea, and we saw how inconsistent he was throughout his time at Chelsea as well. If you're looking to sign a player in their late 20s on a long-term contract for any amount of money, you have to have faith that this player is still going to be able to produce the same output when they are 31 or 32, and with Hazard, even though when he was signed at 28 it did look like he had 5 to 6 world-class years left in his career, the writing was on the wall, and as soon as he began to gain weight and get injured, it turned into a downward spiral, and now it seems impossible for both Real Madrid and Hazard to get themselves out of it. His wages are far too big for anyone else to take him on, especially that he's now 30. He is still under contract at Real Madrid until 2024, which to me says that Hazard is going down the same path as Gareth Bale, unable to get a permanent transfer because of his injury history, form and massive wage package, and it seems inevitable that it will end up rotting away in Madrid's reserves. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this audio form video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notified when my other videos come out. Give the video a like, check out some of my other videos which will be linked in the description below. Put your thoughts on Hazard in the comments section as well, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more content.